Is Black Lives Matter a terrorist group, per se? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, and it's honestly a very controversial topic, and so let's get right into it. Well, first off, let's get around the basis of the Black Lives Matter movement. The Black Lives Matter movement is, well, it was established, I guess you could say, after the shooting of a black man named Michael Brown. This was all over the media. It was gigantic. They had live coverage of whether or not Officer Darren Wilson would get indicted or not, and then he didn't. And then there was riots everywhere. That's where you also saw the "I can't breathe" phrase coming into play, and the "hands up, don't shoot." But the movement that branched off of this was the Black Lives Matter one. So, is Black Lives Matter a terrorist group? Well, we got to think of what is a terrorist group. What's the first thing that comes to mind? I would personally say probably a group like ISIS, Al Qaeda, anything like that. Obviously, I don't think a lot of people would like to think that a American-made organization could be involved in some sort of domestic terrorism. So that's why I think a lot of people want to deny it, because they don't want that fear. They're like, let's just worry about those ones from the Middle East right now. All right, let's not get into the American ones. So, is it a terrorist organization? Let's finally answer this. Well, I'd say the first time it was when it was first established, it definitely wasn't. I don't think it was more of a social movement, and it was just to get people aware about the things that go on with the police brutality and everything like that. Not that Darren Wilson, shot the innocent unarmed black man, because there's many, many pieces of evidence. I'll leave articles below of just how dangerous of a man Michael Brown was, with previous criminal charges and obviously being a borderline giant coming at a cop and reaching for his gun and even punching him. So I'd say the shooting was completely justified, but, let's not go too much into other topics. So, yeah, for sure, I'd say it definitely wasn't a terrorist organization when it was first established, but as we've seen in recent media with the Baton Rouge shooting, the Dallas shooting, and just many small incidents here and there, it's definitely looking that way, because the thing about it is it has such a wide spectrum of people, from the white people who support it, who live in very nice neighborhoods, who don't really get to see this kind of violence up close and personal, like some of the people who support it who do live in these neighborhoods where shootings are pretty common, and death has just become another thing that you just hear about, and it's normal. So you have those kinds of people. Then you have the mothers of victims of shootings, who obviously are outraged and, sad. So, I wouldn't call them terrorists, because most of them just hold up the sign and they mourn their children. But then you have the people who use it as an excuse to, start this sort of NWO, let's start a riot, let's do all this, let's take advantage of it. Just like the Rodney King police brutality case, where you had people taking advantage of this public outrage and just going and stealing and looting things like that, where they just take complete advantage of it, and it's honestly sickening. So you do have the people in the Black Lives Matter movement who do things like this, and it's been seen many, many times, but I don't think any of them have ever reached the magnitude of the Dallas shooter and the Baton Rouge shooter, where you are ambushing cops at a rally that's trying to promote peace between the people and peace between the police and the people. And it's honestly getting even more scary than it already was for police just to go out on their patrols, and let alone at a public parade where they can get ambushed. But yeah, you have people who I would say are terrorists and who may not be committing these acts themselves, but are definitely inciting it. We see this in many, many ways with people on social media trying to spark violence. You have groups. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'll leave some links to, Twitter pages that try and incite these kinds of violence or kind of poke the fire with the stick. Or I phrase that kind of weird. But yeah, you know what I mean. They're just trying to pour some fuel on the fire to get this movement really, well, fired up. But it's for all the wrong reasons, alright? So I wouldn't say that the whole group is a terrorist group. I would say that a lot of people take advantage of the momentum behind this group and use it for their own, well, self-gain or self-satisfaction and stuff like that. And I think it's getting way, way, way out of hand, and it just needs to be stopped. And I mean, yeah, again, going back to how there are innocent people who just want peace between the police and the people, those people are fine. Those are the kinds of people that I support. Maybe not all of the facts that they bring up, but I get that their final goal is to have peace. But then you have the people who are like, well, let's go kill cops. There was a tweet, I forgot who it was by. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I don't write scripts yet. I'm brand new. But they were literally saying, let's go have a barbecue because, the derogatory term for cops is a pig. So they were like, let's go have a barbecue. And, obviously not making direct threats, but, they're hidden within the words. And it's getting really out of hand. And they're trying to spark anger while at the same time trying to advocate for peace and saying, hey, we're just innocent people doing, exercising our freedom of speech and just showing our outrage at this. When on the inside, they're like, let's start riots, let's kill cops. So I'd say bottom line is Black Lives Matter is not a terrorist group, at least not yet. And I think it still has some good-minded people or good-intentioned people within the group. So those are my thoughts on the situation. I'd love to hear some of your guys' thoughts. And if you like the video, why don't you leave a like? Or you can subscribe or just, well, know that you like the video. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.